so we might as well get going. All right, thanks for joining us, everyone. All right, today we are going to be talking about manufacturing, and we're going to specifically be talking about areas of manufacturing that aren't always covered in manufacturing demonstrations with Odoo. Often you'll see we're making tables or widgets or whatever, and it's very discrete manufacturing processes. And what we're going to cover today is process manufacturing. When you have more of a recipe that you need to follow, we've had some customers that, whether they're mixing chemicals or they're making plastics, they're following a recipe and they have to follow instructions very carefully in their manufacturing. And that'll be the first demonstration. Second demonstration is going to be on manufacturing a product that's very customizable. So where you can add features and options at the customer selection, and how that's going to change your bill of materials, and how you can generate a manufacturing order still using Odoo with very customizable products. So we're going to start with process manufacturing. So for those of you who know me, one of the things that I enjoy doing is making beer. So I have a brew pub up back home. That's one of the things that I do. And so I've created a demonstration on how to manufacture beer using Odoo. So this is process manufacturing. We're going to be following a recipe, and I'll show you how you would do that. So some of the things that you're going to be able to set up in Odoo for process manufacturing is work steps. So that's where we're going to identify our recipe and follow a step-by-step guide. Those are done in bill of materials. So I'm going to demonstrate that really quickly, how that's set up. In my bill of materials here, you can see I have a few different things set up. We're going to be manufacturing, hey everyone, we're going to be manufacturing Lighthouse Lager. It's a beer that I made up for this demonstration. We're going to be packaging it into finished goods of cans and kegs. And in order to package cans and kegs of Lighthouse Lager, we're going to have to make a finished beer. And in order to make a finished beer, we're going to have to make a wort first. So, and for those of you who don't know, a wort is a unfermented beer. It's just the pre-fermented sugars. Okay, the setup for manufacturing with process steps. So let's dig into this bomb a little bit. We'll see on our operations, we're going to see instructions set up for each of our operations and work centers. We have one instruction for prepping ingredients, one instruction for mashing in, one instruction for mashing out, one instruction for our sparge. But then when we get to our boil, we actually have 8 instructions. So this is, we'll see how the operator is going to have to go through step by step on that. Our recipe is the bill of materials. So our recipe is 400 kilograms of Pilsner malt, 30 kilograms of Munich malt, 20 kilograms of Carapils malt, some water, and we have 2 different water additions. So we have those separated in our bill of materials because we're going to record the consumption when we actually get through to that step, and some hops. So that's how you add bitterness to your beer. And you can see that we're going to be consuming these in specific operations. So our malt and water is going to be consumed in mash in. Our water, second addition, is going to be consumed in sparge, and then we're going to be boiling our hops. And in order to generate the manufacturing orders for these, we have to have some customer demand. So we're going to follow an order through from beginning. So let's say we have a new customer. Let's say Charlie's Tavern has decided to order some beer from us. Thank you, Charlie, for the order.
No problem.
Okay. And so they're going to order some kegs. They're going to order some cans. And very generous order, 20 kegs and 2,000 cans of lager. So I'm going to confirm this order, and I'm going to see right away, oh, I do not have enough inventory to fill this order. So I'm going to jump over to replenishment now and see what do I need to do to replenish my inventory. So I love working in the replenishment screen. So I'm going to get into replenishment, and I'm going to see right away that I have 2 reorder, some kegs, and some cans. So it's recognizing that I have 0 on hand, but I just received an order of 20 kegs, 2,000 cans. I need to get this enough inventory to fill this. I'm going to see that What I have to order is 20 and 2,000, but I know my batch size fairly well, and I know that this is less than a full batch of beer. So I'm going to just bump these numbers up. I'm going to make 40, and I'm going to make 3,200 cans. Now that I have the quantity that I want to order for my finished goods, I'm going to select those. I'm going to hit order, and right away I'm going to see, oh, in order to manufacture these finished beers, I just had some new manual reordering rules get triggered. So in order to package beer, I'm going to need to make a recipe. So this is my finished beer product. Also need to order some labels, lids, cans, and I'm going to order those. Need to order some wort and yeast in order to fill those. And now I need to order some malt, hops, and water. I'm going to order these. So it's gone through all of the reordering rules and my bill of materials now to figure out everything that I'm going to need to manufacture this product. And often breweries will do that. They're not going to keep all of those raw ingredients in stock. They're going to order it to demand, and because they want the freshest product available. They want fresh hops, they want fresh grain. So they're going to wait till they have the demand. They're going to schedule that in their brew schedule, and then they're going to order the ingredients that they need. So this kind of automated that whole process that a brewery would normally follow for that. So I'm going to jump into my purchase orders. I'm going to see these purchase orders that have been created. I'm going to get my water from the city. Let me just confirm this order. I'm going to confirm this is my ingredients supplier, confirm that. These are my labels that I need for my cans. I'll confirm that. And these are kegs, lids, and cans. So I'm going to confirm that order. And just to speed up the process, I'm going to receive these. Oh, I didn't validate that. Let me jump into the inventory app and I'll do it the way that I should. So I'm going to validate. So I've skipped some time here, obviously. I've ordered these goods. They've now shipped them to me. We've received them into inventory. I can now make my recipe. You can see our manufacturing screen. I have all of my different work centers. So my first step is going to involve the malt mill. So I'm going to be taking the unmilled malt and I'm going to throw it through the mill so that I can grind it up and crush it so that I can extract sugars from it. And I'll see that because this has turned purple, I know that I have some work orders to process there. And then from there, I'm going to be moving to my brew house. And then for packaging, I have a canning line and a unit tank. So I also have some alternate work centers. I have a unit tank 2, unit tank 3, and unit tank 4. If I already had a batch going in unit tank 1, I'd be able to move this to unit tank 2, unit tank 3, or unit tank 4. But right now, all my tanks are empty. So
are those lined up? Like or are they just hot?
They're not currently in that order. Let me see.
First you do keg filling, then you do unit tank.
Correct. Yeah. Let me reorder this a little bit so that it matches like you're suggesting here. So I'm going to save that. I'm going to go back out. And so now malt mills at the beginning, then the brew house, then the unit tanks, keg filling, and canning. So then it kind of matches your order. So I had just created them, but you can reorder them, and that'll reorder them on your work center screen. So,
yeah. Just thought it'd be helpful if
yeah.
First, so number 1, then number 2.
And so what we're going to see is from here, I'm going to jump into my malt mill screen, and I'm going to, this is the screen that I would have at that station so that the operator, they would only see the work orders that are for them. So what I'm seeing here is I have a new job. It is ready. Manufacturing order ready indicates that all of my components are there. I can process this work order. I'm going to click on my worksheet and I'm going to see, oh, here's a copy of my recipe, because that step says I need to crush all of these grains. So I'm going to grab 400 kilograms of Pilsner malt, so 30 kilograms of Munich, and 20 kilograms of Carapils malt. So, Carrie, I think at one point you had asked about adding pictures to a worksheet. Did you guys get that figured out?
Well, they didn't want to add it here. They wanted to add it someplace else.
Okay.
So yeah, we should talk later.
Okay.
You might have some ideas.
Yeah. Because so in here, you're able to add just like a list of instructions. You can create a PDF and have a PDF document attached. I've inserted an image into the work instructions.
Is that what those little the teal page things?
This is actually just no, this isn't interactive at all. This is just a snipping of the bill of materials I just took as to show a copy of the recipe, but it could be a PDF document with all of the instructions on it, something like that. So this is just a list of what he needs to gather in order to crush the grains. And so I can see that. I'm gonna register production. I can look at my, just another way to get to the same work steps. I'm going to pass this, say that it's done, and I'm going to mark this step is done. What this has now done is it's now made my next manufacturing order available because I have my crushed grains. I can move on to the brew house. So if I'm an operator, I'm going to close out of here. I'm going to go to the next work center as the next operator. I'm going to load up brew house. Now what you're going to see here is after I complete each step, one operation will disappear and then the next one's going to pop up. So this operation is mash in. If I click on this, I'm going to see my instructions. I can, during mash in, as an operator, I need to heat up my strike water in the mash tun, gradually add the crushed malted barley to the water, stirring constantly to prevent clumping and ensure even hydration. And it gives me my target temperatures. So those are things that I'm going to be watching for while I'm finishing my recipe. And I need to maintain those temperatures for 60 minutes in order to extract all, in order to enzymatically convert my starches to sugar. So I'm going to pass it.
So if you're an operator, you see that then?
Yeah, this is the operator's screen. Yeah, absolutely.
So what interface do they have then?
So they would have a tablet at that. So that's the most common. It would be like an Android tablet, and then they would have Odoo installed on that. And this is the shop floor app. So I would be logged in as a brewer, and then the brewer would only have access to the brew house operations. Yeah. Yep. So I also have the recipe in front of me. So this is the ingredients that were brought over from the person who crushed the grains for me. So as I'm adding those in, I can just mark them consumed. I can consume the water, and I can mark this work order is done. After completing this one, I'm now going to have the mash out. So specific instructions here. Heat additional water for the mash out, add this hot water to the mash tun, raise the mash temperature, and let sit for 10 minutes. So that's going to stop the enzymatic activity. I'm going to follow those instructions, and I'm going to mark that as done. I'm going to hit done. I've now completed that mash out operation. Sparge. So what do I have to do for sparge? Begin lautering by slowly draining the wort from the mash tun into your brew kettle, recirculating the first roundings back into the mash tun until the wort runs clear. So I'm just getting all of these instructions, and as an operator, I know exactly what I need to do for this specific recipe. So pass that.
If the operator's got a problem with those instructions,
Yes, so what a great question. If I have, as an operator, have a suggestion because there's an issue with that, I can click on these three little buttons and I can suggest a worksheet improvement right here. So I can update instructions, delete a step, add a step, set a new picture. So these are, from this screen, additional actions that I can take other than just processing the manufacturing order.
But, because we have, the police coming tomorrow to our place.
Yep.
So the operator, they would not be able to delete that, right?
Yeah, they're not going to change, like, delete the bomb, but this is making suggestions for worksheet
So,
improvements.
right, so they can make suggestions and so forth, but they can't say, I'm not happy, I didn't get a raise,
And just delete the bill of materials? No, they're not going to be able to do that. Yeah. But they can add some components, scrap some components, add byproducts. This moved to a different work center. So if I was, at, let's say, one of the fermenting operators or the brewer, and I realize that, oh, I can't process this in unit tank 1 because it's full of something already or hasn't been cleaned, then I can transfer it to an alternate work center. This is where you would move to a different work center. So, in which case, quality alert is you're setting a quality alert. Maybe there was an issue with the batch and somebody has to do an inspection on it or something like that.
That kind of kicks off like a 5D process or a
corrective action.
What's that?
Corrective
Corrective action. Sorry, that's what it's intended to do. You take quality alert, all these things are scrapped, and then that drives the quality team to actually do like a 5D deep dive into what actually happened.
And then you can assign it to somebody, you can put the corrective action that was done for it, it's just the documentation after that. I corrected my check sheet, my work instructions,
Yep.
whatever it ends up being. I added, corrected my bill of material, all that stuff. It drives the floor back to quality or to management or somebody else.
Yeah. Absolutely.
and that's all in
Just these three little buttons. This is where it brings up the alternate action buttons.
Shop.
It's in the shop floor app. Yeah, everything you're seeing right now is all happening in the shop floor app. So I'm gonna record consumption of the water for the sparge process and mark this as done. And then you're gonna see the next one's gonna have a long list. This is the 8-step that needs to be done. So before I go through each step, I'm just going to take a look at what each one is. So I have to start the boil. Then this starting gravity check, you'll see it has a bit of a different symbol. This is because I actually have to take record a gravity reading on this one. And then I'm just going to go through the rest of the steps and see what they are. So I'm not going to do anything with the hops yet. I'm just going to read the instructions for boil. So filling it up with wort, actually not water, to getting it ready for the boil. So that's done. Now it automatically moved me on to the next step. I'm going to be able to take my gravity reading. Let's say I take my gravity reading and I read it as 13, and I'm going to validate this. Whoa, quality check failed. What happened? You measured 13 Plato and it should be between 14 and 16 Plato. Oh, okay, now I'm going to double check. I have a bit of an issue. It's supposed to be between 14 and 16. So let's say I double check. Oh, my reading was wrong. It was actually 15. I'm going to correct the measurement. It was 15. Now I can validate it and it'll let me pass. Next thing I have to do is add my bittering hops. Gives me instructions for this. We'll pass it and it's gonna, yes?
You do something that's automated to put that value in there, because an operator can say, screw you, I'll put their value.
Yeah, so absolutely. This is an excellent location where you could actually have a node connection too. So in brewing, for example, you have different sensors that you can use for measuring specific gravity. So we could have it set up so that when it got to this work step, it triggered a reading at a sensor, and then that pulled in that reading and recorded it in your quality check. So then you also get rid of the chance that way of somebody just putting in a fake value. So yeah.
Does it shatter or whatever that's called? Is that tracked? If they did say, oh, I'm 13, change it to 16.
Yep.
Is that all tracked or something?
So we'll have to double check right after this, but it's definitely the record of when that happened and what the recording was and who took that record is tracked in the quality stuff. So I'm going to pass this one. I'm going to put in my Saws hops, pass that, pass that, pass that, pass that. So now I've done all of my steps.
I don't know if I've been blinking too much or what, but how, I mean, that list all of a sudden popped up. You said, oh, this one's gonna be a long one, but I didn't see you click on it. How did that list come up, or was it because?
It's because I finished the
list
previous
was
step.
done?
Yeah.
So
So
it
what,
automatically knows that that's
Exactly.
the next step. I mean, obviously you have to build it in the first place, but once you build it, it knows, okay, step 1 is done, so now we're gonna put up the list for step 2.
Yep.
That one's done. I guess you can click what mark is done, and then the next step
exactly.
just automatically.
So the first step was my mash in. And if I had have gone to the work orders screen where a production manager would be able to view what's happening on the shop floor, what I would see is at that point, the next operation, mash out, would say waiting for previous operation. So that's why it wasn't displayed on my screen in the first place, because I was only showing manufacturing orders that were ready. I could remove that filter and see all manufacturing orders, but because we only want the operator to see what they can actually work on, they're only seeing what's ready for them. So because it was waiting for the previous operation, I couldn't yet see the boil operations. So I've now gone through each step of my boil. I consumed my hops. I'll mark those that they were added to the kettle, and I'll now mark this as done. Now this is the first manufacturing order of a multi-manufacturing order process. So I'm going to, now that I've finished the last step, close this manufacturing order. So what this has done is that production has been completely recorded. I now have a finished wort ready for fermentation. So if I go back out of here, I'll be able to take a look at my manufacturing orders, and I'll see if I wanted to see all of them. I can see the ones that are done, and I can see the one that is a production of finished lighthouse lager is now available because the wort that I just produced is now available for this one to manufacture. So let's go back here. The fermentation happens at the unit tank. We saw that my last instruction was transfer to unit tank, so I've now transferred it over there. And I now want to start fermenting my beer. So I'm going to open this up, and I'm going to see ferment first stage, 3,200 liters of wort. And if I look at my worksheet, I can see that I need to ferment this for 5 days at 20 psi at 21 degrees Celsius. So I'm going to set my unit tank so that it's automatically setting that temperature. I'm going to set my PSI on my check valve so that it will ferment at 20 psi. And then I'm going to leave this for 5 days. So I can do that by just starting the clock and walking away and coming back 5 days later. Another thing that we can do, so throughout the fermentation process, brewers like to take random checks to see what's happening there, right? So they're going to take some samples, they're going to check the gravity, they're going to see how is it fermenting, is it going quickly, is it going slowly? If it's going too fast, that could be bad because it could add some off flavors to your beer. If it's going too slowly, that could be bad because it could maybe you have some dead yeast or that's causing a bit of a problem. So you're just kind of monitoring that. Another way that you can use the node here is connect this operation so that we can say, while this is running, we want to take this gravity reading, we want to take temperature readings, we want to take pressure readings, and we want to record that. And a brewer can have this set up where they can see how this is happening without having to go and take samples. They can also, we can set up triggers where if it goes above or below a specific temperature, it's going to warn someone. It's going to throw an automated action that's going to send an email to the brewer saying, you know what, hey, go check unit tank 1, it's way over pressure. Something like that. So, in that, I don't have anything set up for demonstrating that, but that's something that we could program in if you were working with us. So,
And then you'd have things set up that at 5 days come on somebody's calendar or a
Absolutely.
air horn would go off, or-
Yeah. So when it's time to ready, we could have a notification happen automatically. So that could just be part of our actions as well. Yeah. And that could just actually be a regular activity on your work order as well. So we're going to pretend 5 days has passed. I'm going to mark this as done, and we're going to see that first stage fermentation is done. It should now make available to me second stage fermentation. My worksheet here says now I have to ferment it for another 5 days at 20 psi for 12 degrees Celsius. So the temperature went from 21 degrees Celsius to 12 degrees Celsius. So I need to lower the temperature in my chiller, and that's going to lower the temperature in my beer for the next 5 days. So I'm going to set my timer, I'm going to walk away, come back 5 days later, check my beer, everything looks great. I'm going to mark this as done, mark it as done. Oh, I never added my lot number. So, where? Okay, I'm not sure where I just added the lot number. I'll have to go back and check that.
6.
I did? It was 6? Okay, perfect. Okay. So that is batch number. So that's just recording that I've now made a finished batch, and that was batch number 6. Next one will be batch 7. Next one will be batch 8. I can also manually add lot numbers if I wanted to track them that way. Okay, so now that I have a finished beer, I can do my packaging. So I've already decided how much I wanted to do. I did the 40 kegs and 3,200 cans. So as a packager, I'm going to be able to go to my work center. I'm going to go to canning and see, okay, I have this available.
Quick question. So, before you had a couple of were purple
Yeah.
and most of them were gold.
Yeah.
And then now you just have the one that's purple. So, but the purple ones are the ones that you have to do yet?
Correct.
And the gold ones can be ignored?
Yeah, so purple just indicates that I have work orders that can be processed. So I have work orders that are ready to.
So, that's gonna be the next step and
Yep.
you don't need to worry about the gold ones.
Correct. Yeah. So here I have no orders currently. Here I can see that I have 2 launch, 1 order. So that's just indicating on. This is just a nice way for the operator to see, oh, where do I have orders that need to be.
I was just thinking of keeping things in order to make sure people do things in order.
Yep.
And then we can check and see where the process things are.
Right. Okay. And then also on your, if I was production manager, I could go over here and look at my manufacturing orders, and I could look at the component status, see what is available and what isn't available. So
Yeah, so
And
you only have one order out there, right?
I,
Yeah, there's just.
yeah, but I'm missing a manufacturing order for my kegs. Something happened there, so I'm gonna create one because I should have kegs. Oh,
Is that with beer? Yes. you need cake.
lager keg 30 liter. Yeah, 40. Confirm. Go to my manufacturing orders. Okay, I have 2 confirmed on this one. Check availability. And oh, I don't have enough kegs. Let me just fix this really quick. You can see now I have component availability status. So I just ordered some kegs from my supplier, realizing that because I hadn't ordered the 40 kegs, I only had 20 in stock, which wasn't enough. Quickly submitted an order to my packaging supplier. He got me those 20 kegs that I needed immediately. Now we can, crisis averted, we can package this beer and it's not going to get spoiled in the tank. So, all right, so I'm going to open up my manufacturing order for, let's actually do it through the shop floor screen as we would. I now see I have available work orders at the keg filling station and canning station. Doesn't matter which one I do first. The system doesn't care. I'm going to do canning first because what I want to do is I want to can everything and then I want to put as much into kegs as I can. I ordered 40, but maybe I can actually produce more than 40, and I'll show you how I can adjust that number on the fly when I'm packaging it. So I'm going to go through the canning line. I'm going to can 3200. This one I haven't created a lot of instructions for it, but I can see that that's going to consume 1,500 liters of the 3,000 liters that I produced. So I'm going to mark those as done and close production on this manufacturing order. So I've canned 3,200 cans, seamed them, added the labels. Those are all ready to go, and I consumed 1,500 liters of that finished beer. But now I have the rest of the tank that I'm going to put into kegs. I'm going to go into my manufacturing screen for the keg filling station. It's just a different piece of equipment that I hook up to the tank. And I'm going to see that I have 40 kegs to produce, and that will use about 1,200 liters of beer. I'm going to go until it stops, essentially, at this point. So even though it says I should produce 40, I'm going to keep going. And I just noticed that I got to 46 kegs. So I was able to produce more than I expected out of this batch. So I'm going to edit this. I'm going to change 40 to 46 kegs. I'm going to validate 46 out of 40 kegs. I'm going to see that it has increased the amount of beer that it was assuming that I would use. But in addition to that, I can also change this number here. So out of 1,200 liters, it's also saying you'll need an extra 180 liters for that extra 6 kegs that you produced. But maybe I know that I've actually drained my tank. I have no beer left, and there would be about 1,480 left. So I'm going to say I actually used up all 280 that was remaining in that tank. I'm going to save this, and I'm going to, oh, forgot. I have a picture, just make sure my keg connector was good. I'm going to pass that, and I'm going to mark this as done. And I'm going to close production. So now it's also going to want me to verify my consumption warning. It says you should have used 1,380, but you're telling me that you've used 1,480. Yes, I emptied the tank. So I'm going to confirm this. And the lot number, so.
So you just go back to your.
We got burned on the lot.
Yeah.
I got burned on the lot?
Yeah.
Discard
Yeah,
this.
okay. So-
We can close it on the back side. You get burned by the lot.
Yeah. So that is now, oh, it's when I added the
Yeah.
extra 100 or 280, I didn't set the
There's no lot
6.
to it, yeah.
So when you're on that screen, make sure you're recording the lot on where you're consuming those extra 100 liters from. So, okay, so all of my manufacturing orders are done, and I have finished goods. So if I go check out my inventory,
So when it, you use the extra 100, does it
Yep.
impact costs anymore?
Yeah, so there's two ways that I can do that. I can either record that extra consumption, or I could have marked it as scrap. Maybe instead of it going into those kegs, I spilled a whole bunch of beer on the ground, in which case I might want to record that as scrap so that it shows up on a different journal line, but it is going to affect the cost. Yeah. So it's going to record the consumption of all of that against the inventory that I produced. So I'm going to see, I can just check my stock net right now. I'm going to see that I've now produced, I have, let me just look at my finished goods. I'm going to go by category of my sellable items. I now have 3,200 on hand of the lager, and I have,
Those 40 are still incoming from that MO, that lot's still gonna have to be addressed at some point.
let me do that in the manufacturing order right now. For two close, produce.
And then,
Oh, I got to do it in
Yep.
yeah,
And the details.
here. Order finished.
That one right, top one, right
Yeah,
there, here you
top
go. Now go with that one. There
Thank you.
Yep.
And I'm going to fix the error that I did before. Now I can produce this.
so, yeah,
Confirm.
yep.
Hey, it worked. Okay, perfect.
So you only did was
Thanks,
select
Travis.
your lot number and. it-
Yeah. So, what were we looking at before? Inventory?
We got some stuff
Yeah.
to ship.
Yeah, so I do have a delivery order now. I can take a look. Oh, my delivery order is ready to go. Where's my delivery going? Oh, I got 20 kegs and 2,000 cans of beer going to Charlie's Tavern. Again, thank you, Charlie, for that order. I'm gonna check availability, validate this order. I am going to, oh, sorry. 20 kegs going out, validate, no back orders created. And I can now close off my sales order if I want to. I can see that my sales order has been fully delivered.
I like
Create an
that price
invoice.
though For that many kegs.
Oh yeah, $20. There you go. I'm giving you a really good deal, Chad. I'm gonna create an invoice
I'm sure you'll pass it on to your customer.
and confirm. I'll be expecting the payment shortly. So, okay, so that was quote to cash on manufacturing beer. So
You know,
This
someplace
is-
then you have inventory of 1,200 cans and 26 kegs.
kegs, yep. So I have that left over. So that's finished goods sitting on my shelf. If I got another order from Travis's pub, then I can submit, or I have some finished goods now that I can ship. Once I get low enough, I could trigger a reordering rule 2 that says, okay, it's time to order more finished goods.
I mean, you don't have to show us that, but if you did go into inventory, it would be in there as inventory.
Yeah, inventory, I can
Or you
look at
could
my
just show
stock.
us.
Sellable items. I still have on hand 1,200 cans of Lighthouse Lager and 46. I think I had some stock to begin with, so I have 46.
Let's take a look, let's go
Lager.
to that product, that Lighthouse Lager.
Yep.
Let's look at the history on the in and out. So here we're tracking all of our history of the movements as well. So we've got on 6/26 earlier today, yeah, you put it from production in stock for 40. We did another MO for 6. Then we went and we did a quantity and inventory adjustment. We pulled all 46 out of stock. And then we made another 46 this afternoon. Another,
Doesn't show the 20 that I shipped to Charlie.
That's not the finished product.
that's not the,
You know what? I think you selected the wrong product on your sales order. You didn't select Lighthouse Lager on
I
your
shipped
sales
you-
order.
I shipped you kegs, empty
Hey,
kegs.
That's why they're so cheap.
Yeah, there was $1 for those empty kegs. You are absolutely right, Charlie. You know what? And then I realize now I got to fix this issue. I got to ship these 20 full kegs of Lighthouse Lager.
Charlie's is mine.
Sorry about
I ordered
that.
Full kegs, not.
So confirm that.
We just said the
Delivery.
over.
I say
Validate.
now those 20 are in stock and they go.
So I want those 20 empty kegs back, and you'll get a credit for the
Hey, hold
$20.
on, I sent them back to you. Can you do a return for me on that
Yeah.
for sales order, sir?
So you'll also notice that there's a big price difference between the empty kegs and the full kegs. You owe me $2,000, not $20, Charlie. So, and create an invoice. Okay, so that's process manufacturing. The other thing that I kind of wanted to dig into a little bit today was like a highly customizable product. So Um, Yeah, so this is becoming a lot more popular in today's day and age, right? Like people want a product that's for them. So we see a lot of manufacturers that are manufacturing something that is extremely customizable, whether you want to get it in any color, you want to get it in any size, and any shape or form, right? So in order to demonstrate this, I've created a product, which is a kitchen cabinet. Something else I know well is kitchens, cabinets. So I'm gonna go new customer, and I'm gonna show you a configuration setup that I've created for a kitchen cabinet. So this is a base kitchen cabinet. You can see in the picture here. Maybe you can see it better there. It's got drawers. It's got legs on it, and it's got lots of options. I can say what height I want. I want a 36 or a 42 inch. I can choose different widths, 24 inch, 36, or 48. I can choose different depths. I can choose if I want paint or stain on my cabinet. And I can see if I choose stain, I'm limiting my options of which color I can choose. So here I can see these are my stain colors. If I go to paint, these are my paint colors. So I'm allowed to choose here. Often you have manufacturers that will let customers submit custom information as well. So I'm going to say, you know what, I'm going to choose paint, and I'm going to choose this little guy here. This is my custom option, and I'm going to allow the customer to enter a custom color. So I'm going to do this as dark red. I want a dark red paint on my cabinet. I got case material. I got maple melamine, white melamine, or pre-finished plywood. There's a bit of an upcharge if I want to choose the pre-finished plywood. I have drawer options. I have the number of drawers can change. The picture there is showing a 2 drawer option, but I can change that to a 3, 4, or 5 drawer option. And I can choose between a 6 inch or a 4.5 inch adjustable leg. So I can also see that my pricing here has changed based on what my configuration of this product is. And then upon confirming this product, what I've done is I've created a new variant of that product. So I do want to show you guys what the configuration of a product like this would look like. So we'll go to cabinet, and here is my cabinet. And the way I've created all of the different options for this is by creating attributes and values for those attributes. I've also set this up. One way that you can do variants is you can set it to automatically create variants when you add options to a product. This is good if you have a handful of options and you're only going to be creating maybe 10, 20, 30 variants, and you want to create them all options at the same time. But a lot of times when you have a highly configurable product, the number of combinations, the more attributes you add and values that you add, it grows exponentially, the number of variants. I did a demonstration of a product where I've created all of these attributes and values, and if you calculated how many variants would have been created, it was 2.5 million. And honestly, the list wasn't that big. It's just every time you add a new attribute, it makes it grow exponentially, right? So what I've done is I've set these to only produce a variant when a customer actually chooses this combination.
That's dynamic.
Yeah, absolutely. So then the other thing that is happening is I can take a look at my bill of materials and see what's happening on my bill of materials. So I've created a bill of materials for this, which is taking advantage of the variance by limiting what products are going to go on my manufacturing order based on what options were chosen by the customer when they were going through their order. So for example, I have cases here where the melamine case will be applied if they choose white, the maple will be applied if they chose maple, the plywood would be chose if they chose the plywood upgrade. I have 5 drawers that could be added to this cabinet, but drawer 1 would apply to all options, drawer 2 would be applied to all options, but drawer 3 would only apply if you had 3, 4, or 5 drawers. Drawer 4 would only apply if you had 4 or 5 drawers, and drawer 5 would only apply if you chose 5 drawers. So these would, upon creating a manufacturing order for this variant, it will only give me the number of drawers that apply to the combination that was chosen.
Why is drawer 1 and drawer 2 the same?
Because there was no drawer 1 option. You could, yeah. So if there was a drawer 1 option, then I would have had drawer 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 for for a while.
Why the drawer wasn't even on the list?
Because it's going to be part of my bill of materials. I still need to have that drawer in my bill of materials. So these are the list of components that would be added to my manufacturing order based on the selections chosen.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay,
Yeah.
yeah, it's five, but there is no, you can't buy it with just one drawer.
Right,
Oh,
exactly,
okay.
yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah. But every cabinet would have one drawer number 1 on it. Then I have all my finishes listed here. Again, these are only going to apply based on what option was chosen. And I have my legs based on what option was chosen. I also have these case components actually break down into their individual components as well. So if I were to look at this as a BOM overview, I can see for this specific variant of this cabinet, it's using white melamine cabinet sides, but I'm pretty sure I've done one with maple. And if I look at that version and expand it, I can see that this is going to have maple cabinet sides. And if I were to have done one with the plywood, I would have plywood cabinet sides as the component of that level in my bill of materials. So, and you can also see that this was a 3-drawer cabinet, only 3 drawers are applying. Charcoal stain was my selection and 6-inch adjustable legs. And if I had all of my component costs set, I'd be able to see what the cost is for this specific variant of the cabinet. So let me just also create a manufacturing order for this one. In fact, I'm surprised.
So that bill of materials was just for that
That
product,
specific variant.
not,
Yeah, so
not anything that was specifically ordered, it was just
Right.
for that product.
my master bill of lading applies to every single possible variant. But when I look at the BOM overview, I can drill down to a specific variant and see what my overview is for that variant. So this was a 2-drawer version
Right, okay.
with white gloss, 4-inch adjustable legs, and white cabinet melamine, and all the components match up based on that. So any manufacturing order now that I make for that specific variant, let me hit new. I'm going to choose cabinet. Actually, I should be doing this from.
Actually, why don't you just create a couple? That'd be interesting to trip through the different MOs and see how that BOM then is applied differently to each MO.
Sure.
I can see this even, maybe, like the wheels you've got, right? So you've got like an arbor size, you've got a grit, and then maybe you sell them in 4, 5, 6, 7-inch ones, right? You could have a single BOM to maintain from the engineering side, and then from the sales team, it's when they sell this arbor at this grit at this side, boom, it's putting out that manufacturing order. Because you basically are MTO, right?
Right, yeah, exactly. But, we want to capture that at that point in time, because then it's, if you come back and order the same product, and now we don't want to do that all over.
So the way he's doing that,
Yeah.
very, very customizable, he's making it so it doesn't create it until we can have it like already created, and it's gonna come back again and again and again, not a problem at all.
Yep.
It's just that where the advantage becomes on some, in a place like yours, it's like, I don't have to worry about having a 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8-inch separate BOM for every part. And now what happens is I change the specific type of grit that's gonna go into this, I don't have to change 8 BOMs, I change 1.
Yeah,
And then it's easier to maintain.
that would be
Yeah.
very fun.
Yes, yes.
So just to demonstrate that, so if I'm making a manufacturing order here on the product, I'm choosing the variant, and it's still choosing my master bill of materials, and it's going to apply just the products here. There's actually something else that's very powerful here too. I do have this, the product template set as made to order, so it will automatically generate a manufacturing order if all the settings are set correctly. I can also manually make a manufacturing order off of a variant that's already been created. But let's say I have one that is something that I don't want to make this to order. This is the most common cabinet we sell. I actually want to stock this version of it. So I could go into my product variants and choose the one that is extremely popular. So let's say it's this one here. And I can change just the routing on this one from replenish to order to manufacture. And I can create a reordering rule where I would actually stock this version of my cabinet. So, and I can save that. This variant of it is no longer made to order, but now I'm going to have to go and create that reordering rule for this specific variant. So So that's another way that you can control different variants and have some made to order, some that you actually stock. So we actually had a customer that had that situation. So.
Honestly, the people, I mean, how do they know what they're getting? By the description?
How do they,
So in other words, let's say you do all this, you
Yep.
make the variant that you need to make.
Yep.
How do they know, like the sales team or someone out there? How
The
do they know?
internal reference or part number,
Yep.
which could be what you want it to, lives on the variant. So the way Odoo handles it is I'm selling, I'm sorry, so I don't butcher, I'm selling an abrasive wheel, okay? And maybe it's Excelsior abrasive wheel, right? The customer's getting an Excelsior abrasive wheel, and you're wondering, how do they know if it's a 4-inch or 6-inch or a 5-inch? Okay, so it does happen on a sales order standpoint, it happens in the description because of those variants that we pick. But we could also, in the case of finished good like that, the internal reference or part number, it lives on the variant, so that could be Excelsior wheel 4-inch, if you wanted to call it that. The naming of what they're getting could happen in multiple places. It could even happen in the sales description we were kind of talking about earlier for that sales. All of those things can live in another section. So
Let me show you too what the description looks like on that sales order. So I can see my selections were recorded on the sales order as well. So any printed copies of my sales order would also include the full description of what options were chosen. And if I also had a internal reference number set for that specific variant, then that would show up there as well. And I could also just resell using that internal reference number.
And
For that, right.
and that display also goes through to the manufacturing order as well.
Correct.
Of all those selections, and you can see that the custom part was that entry.
This was a custom red one, yeah.
We're starting to apply to this, it's like, we might have
How do you
variants
40
behind the scenes,
to
but this is
48
giving
and
your
32?
customers a product catalog.
Yeah,
They're
so
not ordering a
Changes
variant,
it.
they're ordering a thing, right? They don't care that it's a variant.
Explain that one
They
second.
want to order this thing. So it's really how we present it to the customer, but behind the scenes, it could just be a variant type thing, right? Am I right that you want the customer to have a very clear, not a description, I look for the 5 in there and the 10, they want to have a very clear thing, and I bought this one thing.
Yeah,
So-
they're used to having a market very often.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
apart from a
in
part
this-
number standpoint, then yeah, it's be the internal reference, and again, that gets set on the variant itself. So yes.
in this case, what I'm demonstrating though is you could have up to millions of potential variants, in which case you're not going to preset what all the part numbers were for all 3 million potential variants, right? You're going to let the configurator run and then assign it after the fact. So,
Right, assign that number.
Yeah. Yeah. And we can also automate-
You might just have
Yeah.
like 7 variants.
Yeah.
We would give a part number to all 7 variants.
Yeah.
Right, and the customer might, those 7 variants might be very similar, but grid size is 200, grid size is 180, the grid size is 100. You know, the only thing that changed is that grid size,
Yes.
but they're all basically the same wheel.
Yes, if they're gonna order that part number for that grid.
Yeah.
You can always manually update your sales order description as well.
Yeah. So one of the questions that came up over here was, it says bar height 42, 48, 32. What does that mean? So what this is actually showing is just the name of the option. So the first option was my height, which was bar height 42. My second option was my width. It's 48. So if you wanted it to say the whole thing, then you'd have to put width 48 as your option name. So, yeah. So, and then 32 was my depth. So yeah, I didn't fill out the full description in the option.
Which is a big thing in Odoo. You don't fill in your attributes and your values to the same naming schemes of everything else. It kind of looks different, so.
So let me go back.
So
The
you
reason,
have H, W,
Yeah.
and D for height, width, and depth.
yeah, exactly. You could add that. That would be an easy indicator as what it means. I did have this as MTO, and I realized the reason it didn't make a manufacturing order for me right away was because I chose a custom color and I didn't know what to do with that. So let me just show you if I were to add a product, even a variant that I've never done before. I'm going to go add my cabinet here. Let me just go base cabinet. It is. I'm going to create a 42-inch high, 36, 24. We'll do a stain, brown. We'll do pre-finished plywood on this one. We'll do a 4-drawer, and we'll leave it as 4.5-inch. I'm going to confirm this one, and I'm going to confirm this order. And showed up, but manufacturing order.
Is that the same drawer that you just changed to non-MTO?
No, it couldn't be, was it?
I'm just.
No, it wasn't. I had this working earlier. I'll have to go back into the configuration. But what generally what will happen is it's going to make a manufacturing order with the components that are applicable, how we've set it, right? So we know which components are going to be applied to the manufacturing order based on the options that are being chosen. So, okay. Any more questions on that one?
No, where were you going next? I'm sorry.
That was it.
Could you go to your list of building materials?
Yeah, absolutely.
And can you look at what was your finished goods? You did the cake?
The cake? I have cans and cakes.
Let's do the cake, 30 liters.
Okay.
And do a bomb overview on this one.
Sure.
Expand it all out. So this
Oh, yeah, let me
without
just hit
variance. And then also show the display the availabilities, please, on the
So
upper right.
that's the bill of material.
Yeah, that's the exploded bill, that's the indented bill.
For
Sub of a sub of a
Lighthouse.
sub.
This is Lighthouse Lager Cake, 30 liters.
Yep.
So the first level of this bomb contains the finished beer. The finished beer contains the wort. The wort contains the Pilsner malt, the Munich malt, the Carapils, the water, the hops.
So all those green things have been set up as items
It's items.
in the system,
Yes.
right? I mean, they're already existing or someone put that.
Yeah.
Yep.
But I wanted you to see this as that, like, this is kind of more traditional look from a bill of material, right? This is my full indented bill. Now, what's interesting, I think, would you go back to the bill of material, that bill of material?
Why are there operations under the bill?
What's that?
It shows
Yeah.
Operation costs, right? So if you want to see your overall bomb cost, you're going to see the component cost and you're going to see your operation costs as
Operations
well.
well.
Also showing the cost.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if I had cost set on the work centers, then it'll show as part of my bill of materials cost.
So from that overview, you see that full indented bomb, but from this view here, all Odoo really cares about is that I'm making this and I'm using this and I'm using this. Whether or not this has a bomb from this view, it does not care. But if you go specifically to this part, then right, that one the lager finish has a bomb, right? Yeah. So if you go to that and look at this bill of material, now we're looking at this level down of what it is. But from like a setting up a bomb, you don't build a bomb in an indented style in Odoo. You say, I'm making this thing and it's using this component, this component, this component. If they have their own bombs, you then create a bomb and it's using this component, this component, this component. In the overview, it totals it all up, and that's not how you create them.
Another thing that was unique about what I was doing here is specifically with process manufacturing, I don't make 1 liter of beer at a time. I make 3,200 liters of beer at a time, and I have a recipe for 3,200 liters of beer, not 1 liter of beer. So my bill of materials is based on that quantity. So I have a quantity set, 3,200 liters of wort is produced using 400 kilograms. Now I could have different sizes here, and if I actually chose to do a batch that was larger or smaller, as a brewer, I can generally produce smaller batches up to maybe even half the size of a full batch. I can make a manufacturing order for a half batch. It's going to use the same recipe, but apply the relative amounts of malt, water, and hops for the smaller batch size.
So there's something else under pretty powerful here too, is Odoo knows that you're setting up this bomb for 3,200 liters. Go make a manual manufacturing order for the Lighthouse Lager wort. It automatically defaults to what you set your bomb for. Now you can override it.
Yeah, let's say I know I only need a half batch because
Now
my
just watch
demand's
before
not
he
that
hits enter. Watch your materials change.
automatically halved everything. So
And if a person they've worked there for 5 years and all they've ever made is 3,200.
Yep.
And they come back from vacation and it's an order for 1,600.
Yep.
but they're had still have vacation, they make 3,200. They screwed up, but you're gonna know exactly who it
Yeah.
is because they're gonna be logged in on the shop floor thing.
Yeah,
and so
absolutely.
You can trace it back, but
Yeah.
you're gonna yell and
Yeah.
scream at them or
Well,
anything. But
yeah.
they're gonna be held accountable.
Yes.
Yeah, so the other nice thing is when I produce this, because I'm recording the consumption of specific products at specific workstations, it's showing up on the screen for the operator. So when he is doing the recipe, he will see 200 kilograms of Pilsner malt. So he's not going to he could make the mistake and still do the full recipe if he's not following the instructions. If he's following the instructions, he's going to follow the recipe.
It's gonna
And he's
be
going to follow
there,
the
but
adjusted recipe.
I've seen all sorts of
Yeah.
things happen.
Yeah.
With my custom products, you
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
But I guess that's just getting, so it is trackable, traceable, that.
Yep.
You know, okay.
Yep.
Good.
So,
I wanted to maybe mention, I don't know if we else want to get into, but the configurable custom selections for the 2 million variants, right, for
Yeah.
cabinets. Can you show them one real example if the excludes for variants? You cannot select this value if you've selected a forge drawer, like you can't have it in this width. Can you just quick show them how they would set up the attribute that way?
yeah, absolutely. So we have that with the stain.
Oh, you do it, oh,
Yeah.
I'm sorry,
Yeah.
then you don't have to do it then.
No, I'll show you how you would set it up though. So on here, in my attributes selections, so for my finish type, I was choosing either paint or stain. And that's just so that I know, is it going to the paint department or is it going to the stain department? But white gloss and black matte are both paints. That cannot be selected if I chose stain. And for my colors of charcoal and honey, that cannot be selected if I chose paint. So the way I would configure that is I would go into the configuration and I would take a look at, actually it's on the other way around. So I'm going to look at the configuration of my finishes and I'm going to say, okay, what is white high gloss paint? Let me go into this one and I can see there is a restriction where for my base cabinet, kitchen cabinet, I am not allowed to use this option if I've chosen the finish type stain. So you're basically creating an exclusion matrix where you're saying, okay, for these options, you're not allowed to use these options. And so it's going to limit the number of variants that you can have based on those exclusions.
It's really powerful too. You just make your attributes and your values, put them on your product, and then after you've selected everything, then go back through and do your excludes for, so you limit what you do not offer in your catalog or that cannot be built at all.
Yeah.
It's not possible.
Yeah, sometimes there's just combinations that these cannot physically happen. You cannot put these two combinations together. Maybe they occupy the same space in the cabinet, then you can't put them together. So then you would exclude them for each other.
Okay, so I wasn't part of the original setup when they were talking about the dynamic and the instant and stuff.
Yep.
But, I mean, I understand it now, but what is I understand the reason why you want everything instant, but, because one of our things did with our nameplates and holders and backings, it got over 1 million.
Yeah, so that's,
Believe it or not.
it's,
But, so, I mean, a person, they can still order an oddball size with the material that we use once a year. They could still order that, right?
Mhm.
And so I guess I was a little confused, like some of the stuff you're talking about
so
just now with because it hasn't been done before that, but if a person wanted to, they could still get rosewood with gold 3" by 4" with the fabric pin on it.
yeah,
It's gonna be the only one that's ever ordered for the next 10 years.
Yep. So
Okay.
what you can do too is if you know that this variant, like you don't want your list of variants to continue to grow and grow and grow and grow, maybe after you've gone through that entire life cycle for that specific variant, you've now shipped it out and you could archive that variant. So you could just select all the variants that haven't been used in a while, hit the archive button, it's going to archive those, and then it's going to recreate them next time you have that option. I don't know if it'd recreate it.
So
Have
that's
to
why I
look
guess
into
I
that.
don't understand.
It would recreate it.
Yeah, but
Yeah, so I guess that's what I don't understand. So, yeah, they can still select it, it's dynamic and stuff, but where does that live? I mean, is it taking up space or slowing things
It's,
down because it was selected once 5 years ago?
Well, that's what you're saying about
That's-
the archive.
that's
So
why I'm saying
a lot of people
archive.
Just archive them and delete them, you know? If you wanted a record, you'd still see the name from a sales standpoint
Yeah.
that, oh, I have a record that I sold it 5 years ago. But that bomb that I'm never using again, we'll have opportunities for you to cancel or archive it, delete, get your system. So it's not just
They do
consuming.
buy one every 5 years.
Right,
Yeah.
then that's fine.
Yeah.
But then we'll just, once they buy the one, then we'll just ignore it and we'll recreate it 5 years from now.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll archive it, delete it, and recreate it 5 years
So
from now.
what's, some other customers do too is that, one that I'm working with currently is, we broke it apart. We are doing their standardized offered products as one top level product with those variants, and we're setting the external ID on every one of them and creating the bombs, just like you have.
Yep.
But then these other super custom special order stuff, we're making a whole new top level product with even more attributes and values for all these crazy one-offs, and we're doing it dynamic. So now you have your bread and butter as one selection, and then you have another selection for everything else. And when you do get this oddball, you're just gonna make a brand new bomb that one time. It's one every 5 years, maybe it's one every year. Fine, you just make that one bomb, you take that 203 hours to build that bomb, and you can separate your 80-20 rule of your business.
Okay, I'll try to make this my last question, because I've never done anything with bombs. Driving up, as I got closer and closer, I'm thinking, okay, QOC, they keep talking about bombs, and I'm looking around, where's this bomb? You know, what are they talking about, bombs, you know, and I was kind of afraid to walk through the.
bill of materials.
Right,
Yeah.
bill of materials, but
Yeah.
I've never done anything with it. No one has ever mentioned, I mean, do I have to do something
You
with
have
the
to-
bill of materials, or is it automatically created?
No,
or-
you have to create.
You have to create bill of
you have to
materials.
create that.
It is the heart of the manufacturing app is your bill of materials. So when you're configuring your products for the first time, you're creating a bill of materials for products that you're going to be manufacturing. So you would do that through the bill of materials under products in the manufacturing app. Here's a list of the ones that I have created.
Okay, so like, just
Yep.
to quickly, it's like a 2x8 walnut, which, believe it or not, walnut is still the most popular nameplate.
Yep.
From the 70s and 80s. But a 2x8 walnut nameplate with a gold holder.
Yep.
Do I need to, I mean, that's all we have right now. I mean, if they pick, just go in, engrave sign.
Yep.
And that window pops up, you know, what size do you want? Okay, 2x8. What color, you know, like put walnut, and do you want a holder? If you want a holder as a desk or wall.
Yep.
So do I need to make a bomb for some of this stuff?
So
or-
you don't have to have a pre-configured bill of materials. You can engineer to order. So let's say you have, I've demonstrated here where you could have like a pre-engineered bill of materials, but you could have 0 bill of materials on those variants. And when this one comes in, now you create a workflow where you say, okay, this is going to go to the engineering department. They're going to select this variant. They're going to create a bill of materials for it. Then they're going to generate the manufacturing order off of that bill of materials. So, but before you can create a manufacturing order, you have to have a bill of materials. Whether you've pre-configured it, like I've done for this demo, or you're doing it engineered to order. Yes, Travis.
You're right, the most effective way is to have a bill of material. You can create a manufacturing order without a bill of material. What happens is though, nothing populates in it.
Yeah, you have to.
So
You have
don't have
to.
any components,
yeah.
you don't have any work orders.
Yeah.
So one thing that you could do, you get an order, you could tell your people, hey, manufacture this, and then they could actually add the components that they're using
Right.
and confirm it and say it's done that way. And with your business, that might not be the craziest thing, honestly, so you don't have to build everything up front.
Yeah.
It would be worth a
Well, with
conversation.
our rubber stamps, I mean, it might be well, under 4 inches or over 4 inches, most are under 4 inches, but it's just basically 1 line, 2 lines,
Yeah.
3 lines.
So here's actually an example of a product here. I never drilled low enough in the bill of materials. I have cabinet bottoms white as a component of the case for my cabinet. I've never created a bill of materials for this, so no manufacturing order would have automatically generated. But I can create a manufacturing order for this and then go in and, like Travis said, add the components that I know would go into this on the fly for a manufacturing order. It'll record the consumption of those components when I mark it as done.
Okay, but like where we just have
So-
a sheet of rubber and it's just all kind of little pieces, or a sheet of plastic which is 2 feet by 4 feet, but we cut it into, 2 inches by 8 inches, so we're not really, we can't,
Yeah.
we're not inventorying 2 by 8 inch pieces of
You
plastic.
don't ever
No,
get to
yeah.
inventory, so you're gonna make stamp like he had there, right?
Yeah.
Your components are gonna be the rubber.
We have a rubber, a wood
And
bound.
then
and
we've
a
got
handle.
wood,
Yeah.
and then we've got a base, right? We're gonna consume 1 unit of the base mayhaps, and then on your rubber, you're gonna consume 2.3 square inches. Right, and then the wood, you're gonna consume, you tell me, 1.2 board feet. Okay, and so every time you make a stamp, you're relieving that many square inches of rubber, this many, 4 feet of wood, and this 1 unit of the base. Every time you make a stamp, that's how it would work. Just kind of quick and dirty like that.
If we did create
If you create a, that's how I would build the bill of material for,
so if we did create the bill of material.
yes.
If we didn't create a bill of material because they're also customized,
Then it'd be, my question would be, how do you want, if it matters, and I think it does, how do you want to consume the materials that went into the stamp?
well, basically we just have a couple boxes of rubber sitting there, and then when we get down to the last box, and say, okay, we only have 10 sheets of rubber, then we order, 5 more boxes, so that 15.
Then I don't have a problem with that.
Yeah.
Because it's so hard to keep track of, then you only use 2/3 of a piece when you have, a scrap.
Yeah.
and when you-
It'd be something we're talking.
You guys-
about.
Well, you,
For us, we have to keep track of our potential inventory.
Right, like for our stamp pads and stuff like
Yeah.
that, that's understandable, but yeah, I mean, for something that's so
Yeah.
customized.
so in this case here, while you guys were just having that chat, I created a manufacturing order where in the system, I didn't have stamp wood, rubber base in there. On the fly, I was able to generate those products and create the manufacturing order. And it's creating these products as we go. And I can even generate a BOM, and that's going to make a BOM and save it. So now I can reuse this later if I wanted to. So
Okay, and it's only a one-time thing.
Wait, back up, where did you generate the bond from? What'd you do there, something?
oh yeah, well it's gone now because I've created one, but there was generate BOM button right here
I honestly didn't know that, thank you.
From MO.
from an ammo. Yeah.
I never knew.
So it's just a one-time, it's just a once-in-a-lifetime thing that's,
Yeah,
you
if it's a
wouldn't have
once
to
in a
generate
lifetime.
the bond, you could just have it on there and just run the MO.
okay, so just create the bomb once.
On a manufacturing order.
And then just kind of put a guesstimate of whatever in there.
What you're going to consume for it.
But then the advantages are, we could do a costing, so
Correct.
much per rubber inch.
Right.
And we can have the manufacturing order then that would run through the system like your logger was.
Yep.
And then that would also help out with our nesting
100%.
situation. Okay, gotcha.
Vince, you got any questions you need to answer?
Could you show me a make part, whatever, where does it show me what work centers it goes through, or however you do that?
So yeah, from a bill of materials. So let's take a look at the stamp that we just created. Under the operations tab, this is where I would add my operations for this bill of materials. So I'm going to add whatever the first process is for making this stamp. We're going to say cut rubber. And we're going to add this to the rubber cutting station. Yeah.
So he's creating a brand new work center on the fly right
Yep.
now.
And I'm going to create a description of what they're doing. You're gonna cut the rubber. Save and close. Now this is an operation that's been added to that. If I generate a manufacturing order from this, this is going to show up. A new workstation has been created in my overview. I can see for where is it? Rubber cutting station up here. My manufacturing order is going to show up there. And then if I have a specific sequence, it's going to show up in the sequence of my manufacturing order at each workstation.
And so on
Yeah.
a thing attached to the rubber stamp to the rubber cutting station, and that would be purple, and a person would know, oh, there's a stamp that
Yep.
needs to, okay.
In fact, on that specific manufacturing order that we created for the stamp, I haven't confirmed this one yet. I can go and add that same operation.
So it
Rubber.
sounds like it is it's very advantageous to have a bill of materials for each item. But it's only, it's only a one-time thing here that I sit there all weekend long to do.
Yep. So on that on that manufacturing order that we created, I added that operation that we just talked about, and I confirmed my manufacturing order. Now, if I go back to the overview, I see this has turned purple. I can go in here and I can see,
You don't have to-
I don't have any materials, but I can see I have an operation here for rubber cutting.
And then when we nest it and put it inside, then we could follow it along, like in stamps are pretty easy, but signs.
Yeah.
you
Signs,
know,
yeah, and then when
they-
it comes to like the nesting, I'd actually do that through a different function than the shop floor. Because I want to go ahead and select maybe 20 work orders, and we're gonna blast them all out at once. I'd do that through a different function than I'll do through the work order list. Would you go to the work order list?
Yep.
But it would still be advantageous to have
Yeah.
the materials.
And then did you have, yes, and then, work center, could you select 3 of these and see if you can change a work center? And then change that malt mill. So this is where too, we're gonna change them all. Bad, dumb idea to change the unit tank, but this would be like, how do I reschedule from my Mazak down and want to throw everything to the Akuma? Boom, like that, those work orders go out. So you can change there in quick. And what I would do from the batching standpoint is what we would do is select like all 3 of these.
But is that the currently open work orders, or is that?
Those are currently open work orders.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's not the standard, so-called standard routing associated.
It is. It was, oh, you mean to put the unit tank on there, or, I'm sorry.
Wow.
I mean, it went with the operation that was on my bill of materials. That's what showed up on there. But we just reassigned it to a different workstation by selecting them and changing the work center on them in one go. So I can even, okay, I'm just going to select
So
these
if you
again.
Go to make
You're like-
whatever, so if you change it for the work order that's out there right now, because you had a breakdown or whatever,
Yep.
then it changes it. But then a month from now, I'm gonna make it again, is it gonna, what's it gonna show, the old?
The bomb.
It'll
What's
show
on
it's
the
on-
bomb, the
Yeah.
original, what's on the bomb.
Yeah.
If it's a change you want to make going forward, you change the bill of material, and you change the work center on the bill of material.
Permanent.
Yes, permanent.
But then you also gotta change it on the old work.
No, the open work orders are its own thing. So the bomb exists, and it's static, if you will. Right, we want that, that's our truth.
It's our standard, yeah.
Yep, that's our standard. So, demand happens based on that standard, creates a manufacturing order. Work centers, all that. While this open work order is out there, I change this bill of material, this work order does not change,
It's out of the barn.
Barn,
It's out of the barn.
okay?
Okay, and vice versa, right? In
Yes,
other words, you say, oh, I gotta change.
it doesn't go back to the bottom, they're separate at
Yeah.
that point. But while this is running, I change everything about this bill of material.
Yeah.
This manufacturing gets done, I create a new one, it's a copy of the bomb now that it's changed. So, once it's
There is-
created, they're apart from each
Yeah.
other, kind of.
There is an app, engineering, like ECO app, where you can manage changes to your bill of materials and you can push them out at specific times where maybe you're like, okay, down the road, we're going to be changing the routing on this. It's no longer going to be going to this machine. It's going to be going to that. You can have a second variation of your BOM and you can choose when that's going to update. And then all work orders from that point on will be based on that. And I believe you can even, if you're using that app, you can retro existing work orders if you needed to. So, right? The
On the
ECO app?
PLM app?
Yeah, PLM. I mean.
No, but
Oh,
you can
there is
set,
a- is there a deal?
yes, it's fine.
Yeah.
You know, it will lock a bomb down, it will archive the bomb, and you can set the date for when you want it.
And you can-
Yeah.
And you can set approvals, you can
Set
set
approvals,
steps, you can
yeah.
have people sign off, it does all that.
Yeah.
It's just a couple things that you
We
just,
actually, in version 16, we did something for somebody on PLM. We actually made it so it followed ISO, it'd be ISO certified from a bomb management standpoint. So it does all the main pieces you need it to do out of the box. To have it like really bulletproof, like I said, we go through an ISO process, we got to.
One other thing, I gotta walk out by Wolfgang, I just wanted to mention, and maybe you can walk them through, because I know everyone's about costing and MO reviews and verifying, well, what my cost was, right? Your Mazak went down, you went to a different machine. You had to do it. There's a different cost associated with that manufacturing order. If we had work center costs in there, and then you actually had real time against jobs, you can go after the job is confirmed and validated. You can look at the cost analysis report, and you can see what that specific job costed you by components, by your employees' time, by your work center time, by scraps, all those types of things. So that's how you get a review on the job side after it's been validated. But once the job's validated and closed, it is done
Unlock.
for the most part, unless you want to unlock, and then you can adjust your consumptions and other things like that.
So one of the things that
Once it's validated, I mean, it's closed, but you still look at the cost, right?
you look at the cost, yes.
But you just can't change it.
But it doesn't
You
like,
can, you can unlock and you know, so what Odoo does is, so I think even Epicor uses this terminology where like, I can be done with the MO. I can finish my machine and drilling and assembly, and that part is in stock. And then a planner, somebody actually goes and closes the job.
They call it manufacturing closed and financially closed. They're called different states.
Right. Odoo, when you close the job, that's how it gets in the stock, and the job is closed. It gets financially closed if I don't touch it at all when the month is closed. I do have time to unlock that job, fiddle with costs, because I can lock it in over the weekend, right? I don't want to adjust that back down to 2 hours. That's all possible to do. It just, with the way Odoo uses its terminology, it looks like it is not. And to be really candid, Charlie and I thought that it wasn't adjustable until about 18 months ago.
Another way to do it.
Yeah.
so, and it all depends on what kind of accounting you're doing and, stuff like that, but it is possible. But I really like that review.
I don't have work center
When
costs and everything set up for.
But when you
have to
do,
have it set up on it.
but when you do MTO though,
Yeah.
Would you show that?
Yeah.
MTO is the coolest though, is because you're on a sales order, you validate, you shipped it out, and you want to do like a monthly review or a weekly review. How did we do? You could go through all your shipped sales orders for that week, click through to your manufacturing orders, and you could review them all. And you can actually review multiple jobs at the same time in the same report for the same product. So if you made 3 different jobs and you wanted to get the total cost of all 3, you can combine 3 reports into one.
So-
So like if we have a pre-ink stamp, size number 10. We also have 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16.
Yep.
And they come in 8 different colors. So for size 10, do we have to have a bill of materials for N10 black, N10 red, N10 green?
So there's 2 ways you can do it in Odoo. You can have a different bill of materials for every variant, or you can have what I demonstrated here, where you have one bill of materials where the components are either active or inactive based on what attribute options were chosen. So you saw how the legs, for example, in my bill of materials only applied, the 4.5 inch leg only applied if 4.5 inch leg was chosen. 6 inch applied if 6 inch leg was chosen. That is one way to do it, as a master bill of materials for every possible variant. Or I could have a bill of materials for every variant, where I have a discrete bill of materials for this version of my product. In which case, then you would have it set up where, yes, I have a bill of materials for this one, and for this one, and for this one, and for this one. So,
The cost is absolutely no different, just what color ink do we soak it in for 15 minutes?
right. And so that's where it might be easier to just have it as a single bill of materials, and then you have the different inks in your bill of materials applying to the potential variants. It's a little bit easier that way, because now you don't have to create a new bill of materials for every variant.
So here on the work center, this is where all the cost goes.
Yeah.
Now, the figure that cost per hour, that's your burden. Now, the employee cost, there are a couple of options, but a lot of times you kind of put that general average, machinist make X.
Yeah, what, are you in a specific work center?
Yes.
Yeah, right now I'm in the brew house work center, yeah. So you can also set your time, like whether you have a standard 40-hour week, maybe you have an 80-hour week because you have an evening shift or a day shift and an evening shift. You can also set up setup times and cleanup times on your work centers. What that's going to do is it's going to add that cost to every manufacturing order as a one-time for that manufacturing order. So it doesn't matter how many you're doing, it's going to add 20 minutes, 30 minutes, whatever you set for your setup time for that manufacturing order. So if you're doing 1 or 1,000, it's going to add the same cost.
And the expected duration on your operation as well.
Exactly,
It lumps it together, so there's no having separate operations for setup and cleanup. It just adds it into that operation when you selected that work center.
And if you
If you
have
want to,
setups
you
that
can-
want
Yeah,
to actually know how long it's taking to do.
you add it as an
tell
operation.
People to set it up as an operation, to
Yeah.
set up the machine, and we clock in. Because some of the machine setups might be, could be a 2-hour monster, right? And you want to know, is the guy getting it done in 2.5 hours or an hour?
Yeah.
So.
Or maybe you're trying to go through some process improvements and you're trying to get that number
Exactly.
down. So you want to track it over time. You want to know how long is it taking every time to set this
Yeah.
up.
So that's under manufacturing work centers.
Yeah, under configuration.
Okay.
Work centers.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then you get your list of all your work centers here.
But now for you, let's say we don't want to track it and we're okay with putting it in the one operation. But this one setup from the Mazak is terrible. Even though we had, go back to that one, sorry.
Yep. Bruce?
So even though our setup time is always a standard 25 minutes, this one is always an hour. It's terrible. We have to take everything out. We have to put new stuff in. Well, what we could do is you go to specific capacities for that one specific product. And you could say for this specific product on the brew house work center, it's going to default to the 25 minutes, but we're going to say, no, it's 60 minutes. So even though it's always 25 standard for this machine, you could say this specific product has a different setup.
Specific capacities.
Yeah.
Anytime you want to jump in, Larry, just feel free.
Absorbing.
Another powerful thing, remember when he asked previously to reload when you go to the manufacturing overview?
Oh, yeah.
And you wanted to have it in certain order, right? So let's say I have one company, but I have 2 different work cells or warehouses. What we can go back and is go to configuration work centers, and let's just make a couple tags, if you would, and put a couple tags on some of these.
Yep.
And then you can do a group by in your work order overview, and it'll put it in columns for you for what kind of work centers you have set up to make it a little more visible for your operators to see.
Can I not control my tags from here when I select these?
No, I know it's a multi-selector, you gotta create them.
You got to go into each one.
Okay.
Sorry.
So tags are up here.
Yeah,
I'm going to
so-
say fermenter. Now I can add that tag to each of my fermenters. So
And then that's probably good enough, and they'll get the gist of it after you get these last 4 in.
So that's where you'd put it, the order of.
So now if you go to
step 1,
overview
step 2.
and you do a group by tag,
thank you.
now those other ones, so to expand your none, that's how it would normally look if you had this one labeled. So you'd have all of your work centers in one column and another column. It kind of makes it operator very simple without a customization, standard using tags.
Now, Aaron, who met, he set it up with, he actually did a little customization on his own. He created human resources departments. He had those departments in, he's pretty handy with the code. He put his department in on the work center, and then when they go into this overview screen, they're selecting, so I'm in the milling department, machining department, I'm selecting that department, and I'm an employee underneath it. And so he set it up as a hierarchy like that, like pretty official.
You
The
could-
way we did here, and we're just kind of bebopping and scatting with, here's some tags, here's a quick way to do it.
Let's do it with, iPads or whatever, Andrew, is that his operators go and log in there?
Because of their quality setup, the way they do it, they're on PCs.
No,
They're ultimately gonna go down to tablets and notes. Yep, because that's gonna be like phase 2 for us, is we're gonna replace their per quality system. But just from a tablet discussion, he had said it, I can't hammer it home enough. Don't think iPad, buy a Samsung, $110, when it breaks or gets the whole buy another one.
I said, that's the first thing that came to my brain, but I didn't.
So-
They make universal cases now.
Instead of group by, I could also do a custom filter where maybe I would assign like specific operators, specific tags. And so I'm a fermentation operator. So when I go in, I can only see the fermentation one. So you can have it like preset to them by using the domain, or you can like have like, in this case, I just created a favorite where now I only see, if I select that, I only see fermentation grouped by fermenter. So
Could we theoretically with yours, like upload the G code from the data?
I would handle that slightly different, but yes, I know where you're going. We want to have the G code for the LOs, right? Or for the parts, right?
Yeah, for the parts, right, because we have on our machine parts, there's a lot of the, and we have to keep those, I mean, we keep them off the machine, but there's issues about one to the network, blah, blah, blah.
you want to store them on the product and then have the manufacturing order like send it over? Is that what?
I just was wondering if we just keep it with the
Yes.
manufacturer.
Yeah.
My mind,
Yes.
like,
A bill.
maybe that would be a smart thing
Keep it-
to do.
I would keep it with the bill,
Yeah, you can.
keep it with the bill of
Because then
material.
every rev change, you have a new G code on each bill.
You run
which is
through the
bound.
cam, you run it through the cam again.
I mean, I can go here and I can even just on my bill of materials, I have the option to have attachments. If I have a file with my G code in it, I can just attach it to my bill of materials.
And how are you pushing that G code out to the machine now? Is it like a flash or you leave them on the machine?
The guys are on the machine.
Yeah, no, I would extract it on a flash drive or whatever you need to do, maybe just do a big pull. But yeah, I would have the G code live on the bottom. I think that's a good way to do it.
And then the only customization is, if you attach it, like what we did as a file, we just have to do a small customization to get
Like-
them onto the MO, because I don't
Yeah.
think that attachment goes
It's
on.
not intended to.
No.
do that, no.
I have it here. So this is a text file, right? So I can just attach this text file. Now we can create, like you said, a custom code that says, okay, when you create a manufacturing order for a product, check if you have a text file with code on it and pull that onto the manufacturing order as well. In fact, you could probably even do that with automated actions.
You might be able to automate action, we might even be able to do it with something as simple as like a related field on it.
Yeah.
Bring it right over. The other thing too is it depends, actually, one of the other easy ways is kind of, you guys do much in the cloud right now? And storage in there?
The front office does, but yeah, grades and all that stuff we do. but,
Perfect.
you know,
So
Yeah.
front office-
Kind of
so
operation.
that would be another place where you keep the G
Sure.
code,
Yeah.
is it in the cloud, and then bring a link onto the,
Go into your
create a link
operation.
onto Odoo. And that's even like, all I gotta do
Google
is.
Slide or a
Yeah,
PDF.
Google Slide.
Google
This is called a
Slide.
Google Slide. It's
Yeah.
it's any link to any place on the internet.
Yeah.
You can automatically just drop it in there. If it's accessible to, through, you can just, I've attached YouTube videos to this, you can attach this to a website, but yeah.
Yeah.
So if there's a drawing there,
Yes.
then they see.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and that's the value of the cloud though, because so this is based on Odoo, like it's been really simple for us. If we have a company that has a good naming structure of their files, so really the short, if your file name matches the internal reference or the actual name of your product, and you have that stored in the cloud, we put widgets all over the place in Odoo. Maybe it's even on the work order list, like before I even open it, I want to open up a print and go, what would I possibly be making? Oh, okay, I want to make this. Maybe they're cherry picking the easy ones. You tell the guy in the second shift to get all the stuff. This one easy, this one's easy, I can do it. So we put widgets to links everywhere.
So let's see what he just got on here.
I don't know if this is going to work. I just put our website on there. Manufacturing
Put it on the bottom?
order,
On the operation.
take filling station. Meant to go here. Let me.
Yeah, you don't have any components yet.
I didn't do it.
Uh,
It would have to actually be an item on the web, right? Like it
well,
can't just be a
QC might
website.
be a
but-
bad example,
yeah,
but yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
I sent Hackler back to the cells a couple of times. so
Yeah.
It was their own website.
Right. Yeah, but if you had like a specific object on the
Yes.
web, that's what it would link to, and that's what it would pull into your.
Yeah.
So I could choose like our logo off our website, as long as I know what that JPEG URL is or whatever, I can attach that, and that's what's going to show up. So
We would probably have to rethink our whole engineering, like, move from the all, because we have so many part numbers, but we probably have to do, more generalized categories and then deviance from that, those categories. So we probably have 30 categories, something like that, with, same as except for under those categories, which we could probably do, we just have to think differently about what we do. Sure. But,
Windsurf. Yeah, nice operation.
All right. That was a good,
So when's the Q&A?
good demo.
When's the Q&A?
Thank you much.
Whatever you want.
Yeah.
Sorry, whatever you
Lot
want.
to think of there.
What's that?
Gave me a lot to think of.
Yeah.
I guess I'm just wondering why after 7 months working with the Buffalo BSA program, no one ever mentioned BOM or bill of materials or anything, and now today it's a hot topic, is
It's
7 months,
It's change, how to change.
never mentioned.
Most times
Right.
we can never answer
So,
the
I
question.
mean,
Yeah.
maybe.
I guess if I had asked about it, they'd say, I don't know.
They're not ready to change, they get to the point, maybe they need, they don't know.
So what do we want to do?
But now we're
Should I go
happy
grab-
QOC customers.
Should I grab Maggie and should we get end this call,
Yeah, sure. Let's
Or-
end the stream. Yeah.
end the stream, and
Yep.
and then we can do Q&A after, even though we've had a lot of.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go grab her. Wherever
Actually,
she
I think
is.
I can
don't
just
know,
do
what
that.
was you and him, what's going on? I thought that was it.
I think we've gone through everything. Yeah.
I got all my cues done.
Yeah.
I gotta get a sandwich.